So virtual meeting statement pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, general law, chapter 30A, subsection 18, the governor's 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Hubbardston Board of Health will be conducted via remote participation to the extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found at www.hubbardstonma.us. No in-person attendance of members of the public can be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we'll post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive recording of record of the proceedings as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mallory.
You're welcome.
First order of business is a review of the minutes. However, we do not have such minutes, so we're going to postpone that review till the next meeting, and hopefully they'll be completed by then.
Yeah, Tim Newton is going to reach out to the person they hired to see where she's at, because I don't have time to do them, so, and I'm not supposed to be doing them.
COVID-19 updates. Mallory, you want to start with anything technical, or anybody want to join in with a discussion?
Yeah, so I sent over this afternoon information that was released today in regards to continued plan for reopening. So there's going to be some changes. There's going to be a little more loud. So effective May 10th, large indoor and outdoor stadiums are going to be able to operate at 25% capacity. Some of the Commonwealth industries, including amusement parks, theme parks, outdoor water parks, are going to be able to operate at 50% capacity. Different road races and events such as our Hubbardston Fair will be able to operate at 50% capacity. And then further down the line, effective May 29th, the gathering of limits will be increased from 200 to 250 people outdoors at event venues, public settings, and private settings. And some other ones to be noted down the road, August 1st, dance clubs, nightclubs, sauna, hot tubs, steam fitness rooms, indoor water parks, and ball pits will be able to open. And the one that's going to hit us as soon as is going to be this Friday, the 30th. All face covering orders will be relaxed if you can social distance outside, you are no longer required to wear a mask.
Judy, might you have anything to add with your adventures?
Well,
Hi, Kathy.
the mask covering, from what I understand, is only for those that you can go outdoors without a mask.
Correct.
If you've been fully vaccinated. So, I mean, if you're still vulnerable to the virus, it's not really a good idea. But, you know, we're still doing, and Johnson & Johnson is available in Rutland, as is Pfizer, although they're trying to get past all the second doses. They have 2 weeks worth of clinics all set up for second doses. So I think first doses will be once again probably available mid-May. So other than that, we had a successful week last week. We vaccinated almost 7,000 people.
Wow,
Very nice.
wow. Mallory, is Rutland sending us any documentation on residents of Hubbardston that have been vaccinated?
No, we don't get a report, no.
So we don't have a total on anybody?
Not for the town.
There is a reporting system, because I got a report back that Hardwick is like way, way, way down. So they, we're looking at, our association, the MRC, has been talking with CHC, the Community Health Connections. They run the clinic in Fitchburg and they run the clinic in Gardner. And they are willing to do, quote, pop-up clinics. that means that they can take in small clinics into the small towns and, you know, help target populations that haven't been able to get it, or for our accesses, internet access or transportation access is not available to them. So that is an option as well. So we're looking at that, and they're hoping maybe to start some Saturday clinics in May.
Yeah, and I did, we got it out there. We have there's 1,500 Johnson & Johnson shots that we have open for Rutland on the 3rd and on the 4th of May. So if anyone is looking, you just need to direct them over to rrecc.us/vaccine, and they can schedule their own appointments. These clinics aren't clinics that I have access to Prep Mod at all. So I can't go in and, like we were doing at the clinics, Kate, register people.
Mm-hmm.
I still do, but
You
yeah. There was a big meeting today at 2:00 from CDC and ACIP. Those are the two groups that set policy for Johnson & Johnson. And the risk is very low, especially if you're 50 and older. You're talking less than 1%, like 0.03 to 0.08. The group that is at highest risk, but again, you're talking small numbers, 6 cases and per million. No, I have to look at my notes here. They were figuring up to 6 cases per million as an outside possibility. And it goes down to 1 case per million. For men, starting at 18, it's 1 case per million. And then over 50, it's 0 cases per million. So it's extremely rare and a very small amount. They're tracking it. They think it's if you're on contraceptive, or you've got a history of stroke or something like that, or a history of DVTs, leg clots, or lung clots, if you've got any kind of history, that's not the issue. That is actually not a risk at this point. What they think it is more having to do with some sort of autoimmune response. So you know, if there's any question, you need to just go back and talk to your physician. But otherwise, they're saying that it's extremely low risk for having a response like what's been on the news.
Yeah, I heard it was predominantly what the highest risk group, which is still small risk, was women. What was it, 20 to 50?
18 to 29 is the highest, and then and then by decade it goes down and down and down.
Gotcha.
Our case numbers in town have dipped below again, so they were riding high for a few weeks, but now we're back down to 4 cases.
Well, I think with the Board of Health efforts, and certainly with Judy O'Donnell's above and beyond, you're making us look awfully good here in Hubbardston, Judy. And I do want to thank you, and I think all the folks in Rutland have also done a great job for this community. And like Mallory said, the numbers are down. We're back into a low incidence. So let's hope it continues. And I haven't seen too many partiers during spring break here, so maybe we'll avoid that. But boy, Judy, I'll tell you, you're doing a hell of a job. Thank you very much.
I'm trying. Still, my advice though is still wear a mask until we can get out of the woods from the variants.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. All right, moving along. Failed systems awaiting action. 10 Main Street, I'll put that on the table. Anything going on with that, Mallory?
I haven't heard anything. They were away on vacation, but they are back now, so I can reach out to her again.
Well, they were on vacation last August.
I know.
Have they applied for the money?
They applied, they were approved, but we haven't gotten anything on their plan or any applications in from them. So I don't know if they've changed their minds on using the Title V loan program or not.
Well, yeah, regardless, they're gonna need to submit a plan.
Yeah,
I think we ought to move a timetable up on this. You know, I think in the next 14 days, when we have our next meeting, I'd like to see a plan of action on that. This is getting to the point where we're pushing 3 years with a failed system.
yeah.
And, you know, that is in the public water supply at district, so inaction on our part would be irresponsible. I think we send them a note. If you have to send it registered mail, I could do that as well, so there's no excuses that we need a plan in the next 14 days.
Yeah, we can do that by registered mail. It's not a problem.
Great.
Yep.
Any other systems that we need to consider?
To the best of my knowledge, since I've been working for the town, that's the only one that
That's the
hasn't.
only one left? Okay, great. Pass fail Title V, 30 Chicopee.
So we got this from JPC. At the time that they submitted their failed or conditional pass, they also supplied us with an application for replacing the D-box. So they went ahead and Tim Newton took care of that. He was out there this morning to inspect it. He stopped in to sign some other stuff and gave the sign off on the COC as well. So that one's all set now.
Very good.
Wonderful. Thank you. Alrighty. Water test, any submitted?
We haven't gotten any new ones since the last meeting.
All right.
I did hear this. I haven't heard it. I called over to the hub house this morning, but I heard that they were without water. They were having some repair work done, and no one made us aware of it. So I just so everyone knows, I did call over and ask that if they're ever to shut the water off, that the Board of Health just get made aware. But I haven't heard back from them yet.
While we're on that item of water, let me tell you that I'm going to bring this up to you, Mallory, for the records. Going through a box under my bed, I found a series of maps for the Aquifer Protection District, as well as some of the maps that indicate where the public water systems are. So I'll be bringing those up to you this week. So we'll have them on file. And as I mentioned in that email that I sent out, there may be a lot of information up there in the fire department. There may not be, but there may be. And maps may be particularly hard to come by because at one time we had a very, very nice oak map case, one of those large 4 foot wide by 3 foot deep with several very nice drawers in it, full of maps, all kinds of maps that were referenced to the whole town, although it was under the auspices of the planning board. And it's gone. It was not up there last time I was up there, which was, I don't know, 4 years ago.
It wasn't in the fire station?
No, the map case was gone. It was missing in action. And that means to me that the maps are probably in different boxes up there. And some of them, certainly they're pertinent to you as a land clerk.
Yeah.
They're also pertinent to all of us in various forms.
Great.
So we may have to go search in boxes and places we're not expecting to find maps.
So Ryan has applied for, and we're moving forward with a grant to do some scanning work. So all of our street files are eventually going to be made one big public record online. You can access any building permits, any Board of Health records that are public record, conservation, anything that would be in your street file. So that will clear up some space in our office, and then maybe we can just start, because they're coming in, I think, in the next month. Maybe we can just start box by box and trying to make sense.
Well, I don't buy green bananas and I don't expect to ever finish the end of those boxes. There's a lot of files. Let me tell you, there's a lot of files.
Okay.
All right, but again, the maps that I have, I'm gonna give back to, they were all copies. So I'll
Okay.
bring them up just in case we don't have anything else on record.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Permits to be voted on, Cauldron Farm Primitive Campground.
Yeah. Bella only had, so she applied for her campground again this year. I guess last year with COVID, she only had one attendee. And she's not expecting a huge crowd this year either.
In the past, there has always been a signature location for the tax collector to do.
Yeah, I
see
checked.
that.
I checked on the past ones too, and it's never been required for a primitive campground.
Never, okay.
No, historically we can add it. We should add it. We should add it to every permit we have.
Another thing that I've always wondered about, must applicants conform to all zoning and general bylaws in the town before they're permitted and licensed? I don't know if that is
Has
something.
Bella never gone before?
I believe it was always done in the past, but I don't
Could
know
be.
about this situation.
She's never gone before like the planning board, or she's been well established long before I ever worked here, so I don't know the history.
Right. Well, there could be items that we're not aware of, general and
Well, what
zoning
inspections are-
bylaws that she may be in violation of, they may be in violation of. So, you know, that's another consideration.
Inspection should be done there. Have we not been sure if the inspections have been done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gone out.
Yeah.
3 years. And she met all the qualifications for a primitive campground in the past. Now, last year we did an inspector.
Right.
So,
I think last year she applied pretty late in the season because of the restrictions
did.
with COVID. So,
I make a motion, we approve her permit.
Who made that motion, please?
Kathy.
Kathy, all right, there a second?
Second,
I'm having a problem tonight. Did somebody second that?
Yep,
Judy.
Judy did.
Oh, great, thank you, Judy. All righty, all in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
So vote.
aye,
Aye,
Aye.
We do have to do roll call on this, don't we?
we do.
Yep, Judy,
aye,
Kate,
Aye.
Kathy,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
and I vote as well. Wonderful. Plans and review. And under that falls new business with Tim Newton, Inspector, Septic and Building Permit Approval for Department and Permit Fee Update. I see his name flashing. So Tim, are you there?
Tim, can you hear us? No, he's having trouble with audio.
You can hear us, Tim. Would you blink, please?
I think he can chat too. We can go through chat if that's easier, Tim. I don't think if you're calling on your cell phone, I don't think that works on this Zoom platform. I don't know why.
Vin Rangoon.
Okay, I made you co-chair. I'm also gonna turn my camera off because I'm having connection issues tonight.
Okay.
All right. I have only reviewed this particular email that was sent from Tim to Mallory within the last half hour. So did anybody else get this earlier than today? It Came
was
in
able
on
to-
the 13th.
Check
I
out
never
the
saw
rest
it
of the
today.
documents.
I'm sorry? Did somebody repeat that, whoever said that?
Valerie, do you want to repeat that?
Yeah, I should have gone out with the rest of the documents because all I did today was forward the documents from before.
Mine came in today. And
Mine
I
came
didn't
in
I didn't
today.
see this
Yep.
until today,
Mine came in too.
but it was
Yeah.
dated April 13th.
Yeah, it was forwarded then, and it was also forwarded when I sent all the original documents out. So I don't know if it got jumbled or if it got kicked out or.
Yeah, it didn't come into me till, like I said, today, and I looked at it at 6:15, so.
I
would be-
move that we table any formal vote or any decision until the next meeting. I'm like you, Vin. I just got it at 6:15 to look at. So I'd like to print it out so I can really go over it.
Yeah, I was gonna actually recommend that one of us shares screen and we actually go over it here.
I mean, we can go
Right.
over it, but I
Well,
don't know
I don't think
that
we're
never
looking.
proves to be productive, and it's also something that could waste a lot of committee time. I'd like to rather, well, first of all, we have to move on the motion. Is there a second to the motion Kathy made to table till next meeting?
for a vote. If we want to review it, I'm fine.
Well, I don't think it's appropriate to review as we sit here, because the other part of the equation that I don't have is our current fee schedule. And I'd like to see that.
That was also included with the documentation.
I don't see
Yeah.
that. Kate. I see
I
in
sent
the
everyone.
narrative what it is, but I don't see our official fee schedule. So I'd like to look at that.
You have, I don't think that if I forwarded it to everyone, certain documents wouldn't miss out to certain people. Everyone should have it.
I didn't get it. So, I'd be more in favor of waiting on this till we can have a good review and read it over and bring it back up for discussion in 2 weeks. So you'd like to, Kathy, you'd like to make that motion to table again? We could try this one more time. I'll entertain that motion.
Yeah, I'd like to table any further discussion on this fees until the next meeting so that we can look at it and be ready to take action next time.
All right, I'll second that. And
Do you guys want to swing by and pick up hard copies if the emails aren't working?
yeah, we could do that.
Because if Kate's getting them all, the emails are all forwarded from the same location. So I don't know if there's a glitch on someone else's end or what, but everything
Yeah.
is forwarded in
I-
one,
I got all those. I got them
It's
myself.
one document called compfee.pdf and it has
Yep.
multiple towns' fees in it.
including
Yep.
that. Yeah, so I can print them out. Whoever needs hard copies, just let me know and I'll have them ready to go for you.
All right. All right, the motion to table, Kate.
Sure, aye.
All right. Kathy,
Yes,
Colleen,
Yes.
Judy.
I don't know. I'm gonna abstain as I have.
All right, and I'll vote yes. So we'll visit this again in 2 weeks. Thank you. Mosquito spraying, how did we make out last night at the BOS meeting?
So the Board of Selectmen actually voted to eliminate all spraying in town, or actually just opt out of it with mosquito control. Whereas the recommendation we had discussed last time was to do targeted spraying on the ground by truck, and potentially spreading of hay or other organic matter to deter mosquitoes. The Board of Selectmen was split, and they, two of them were of the mindset of the Board of Health, which was, do targeted spraying where necessary. And the others were basically saying, there's a much higher risk of PFAS or PFAs, depending on what you say or how you say them, and chemical hazard than triple-E hazard. And because there are common sense triple-E precautions people can take, and it's not a huge widespread issue, we're going to leave it. Mallory and I emailed a specific contact to the Mosquito Control Board as a courtesy to the Board of Selectmen. They had an open question, which was whether or not, when the town writes back to the Mosquito Control Board opting out of the aerial spraying and spraying for the season period, if they find an instance of triple-E or we have a bird tested or something and it comes back positive, could we opt for spraying at that time? So the Mosquito Control Board contact is going to go back to their legal team and discuss whether or not that is under the purview of the Mosquito Control Board, and whether or not that's then legal for them to do. So
Okay.
when we find out, we'll relay that information to the Board of Selectmen as informational only, since they've opted to vote on it. My only open question on it is who writes the letter, because the way the Mosquito Control Board contact was written and the letter was written, it was based on open meeting, and it was based on, I thought, the Board of Selectmen writing their answer back based on the vote. So I'm not sure that they got that from the call. I tried to restate that, but I want to make sure that they're aware that that's their responsibility to respond to that letter. The way it was structured, it was, the Board of Health would chime in, the Board of Selectmen would hold the meeting and then vote on it and respond. So
Would you just follow up with a memo to the chairman of the board then? Or the
Yep. I was
administrator?
going to just wait to see if I got an answer from the Mosquito Control Board and kind of respond all at once.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad they voted that way. And just as an aside, I see we have Matt Hopkinson here. Matt, do you have any information from DCR on that mosquito spraying? It seems like that may be an interest to you folks.
No, as a matter of fact, I don't think it's ever come up in all the years that I worked there.
Oh.
I haven't, we do have, there are pesticide laws that apply to most specifically the glyphosates, the Roundup and that sort of stuff that the railroad likes to use on the vegetation, but I don't recall anything about mosquito spraying. I don't think they have a problem with it.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty then. Next item is Mark Popham's landfill closure agreement, which looked very similar to what we did last year. I'm not sure. I don't have a problem with the agreement, but did we not initiate any discussions with primarily DCR on the town's responsibility versus their responsibility, Kathy?
So someone was supposed to write a letter asking that we only get tested once every 3 years instead of every year like we have been. And Mark was supposed to submit both of those tests because he did 2 in 1 year, which is what they required in order for our test frequency of testing to be diminished to either once every 3 years or once every 5 years.
Mark, I know he did do the 2 tests and he wrote the letter for us. I can follow up with him to see where that stands, because he did
Yeah,
that
that's
in the
important.
fall. If you remember, you guys all
Mhm.
reviewed that in the fall.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But
But
I
we
don't think we've
haven't-
heard anything from DEP on it now that,
Okay.
so I can follow up with him and shoot him off an email.
So I would like to
Thank you.
table voting on him doing more testing this year until we know if we can if we don't have to do any testing. I mean,
All right.
we had the tests. Technically, we don't have to test for 3 years. We wouldn't need it this year.
Is there a second to that motion to table that?
I second it.
Alrighty. All in favor of tabling? Judy,
Yes,
Kate,
Yes.
Kathy,
Yes.
Colleen?
Yes.
Yes, and I vote that also. So that item is
We need to
tabled
really
till
follow
you
up.
get some information on that, Mallory.
Yes.
Look
And we
that
can-
up. I'm not
yeah.
sure it goes to DEP, Mallory. I think it's a DCR issue, actually. So one of those agencies will respond, I'm sure.
in the past, it's been DEP,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah,
and
I-
it's one of those, yeah,
Okay.
it's just one of those projects that goes on and on and on and on. It's time to put a halt to it.
Yes,
Expensive project.
exactly.
Okay, great. Well, that was our thoughts last year as well. So,
Mhm.
open complaints, 111 Gardner Road, on hold.
Yeah,
What's
we
the
haven't done
update
anything
there,
on
Mel?
that one.
Do you have an update on that, Mallory? I'm sorry.
No, you guys are supposed to schedule a site visit and I haven't got anything on it.
Okay, that's what the hold is. Very good. And that also applies to 248 Gardner Road.
Actually, we had our first coalition meeting on 248 Gardner Road because the select board had been made aware of the problem that was there. So the chair of the select board suggested a coalition of all boards. So it was myself, Kate was there, planning board was there, police was there, and they decided to do a site visit on May 4th. And also to reach out to Craig, who is the owner. They reached out to Craig, and Craig's willing to work with the select board to begin the cleanup process. So the select board is giving them until May 10th to make some progress. When I drove by there both times today, there were trucks getting rid of debris and garbage. So it looks like he's already moving forward with it.
And on the May 4th meeting or the site visit, I won't be in town, so I'm going to need somebody else
they
to volunteer
canceled
for that. Oh, they did?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know if I cut out or not. I keep getting unstable connection.
Yeah, and I didn't catch what, I heard Kate say something about May 4th, but I didn't hear what you said, Mallory. Would you repeat that, please?
Sure. So they were going to have a site visit with all parties, all departments involved, which they canceled because Craig is going to take it, or told the Board of Selectmen that he's planning on taking action. So they're going to let him lead the project. And if there's no action by May 10th, then we'll readdress a site visit together then.
And was zoning enforcement involved in that coalition?
He was invited, but he didn't show up to the meeting.
Right.
Very well, thank you very much. And if I'm available May 10th, I'd be happy to join the crowd.
Well, May 10th is the select board meeting.
Oh,
So
when's
yeah.
the site visit?
it's all going to depend on the 10th.
I
So
do apologize, but
that's okay. I think it's
something about the
May
10th, I'm just not catching that tonight,
So the select board meeting is on the 10th.
right?
And at the 10th, they'll decide if a site visit is
We'll
necessary.
decide then. Very good, thank you.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on.
That's okay, no problem. You know, I'm going deaf as well. Old business, any finance reports?
No, sir.
Food inspections update.
So I know Tim is going back to re-inspect Hubtown Diner tomorrow. And he did do the market. So I don't know if you have any other, do you want to pop in the chat?
What did he do again? I
The
heard the,
diner and the market.
oh, the market, okay, thank you.
Hey, can you all hear me?
Oh, I can
Yep.
hear you now.
We can
Yeah.
hear you.
There you are.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I went to the Hubbardston Market today. They only had one critical violation on my first visit, which was they had food that was not appropriately labeled for resale. That's now appropriately labeled. And tomorrow I'll be going to the Hubtown Diner to re-inspect.
Great. Well, thank you, Tim.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
The recycling center.
My favorite. So
Boy,
I met with two trash companies, and I sent over both those estimates. Hopefully they both made them to you. The first company that I met out there was DND Waste out of Fitchburg. So he took a look, and just trying to pull it open on my other computer so I can see it big again. He it's very hard to get a straight estimate on how much is there or what is there, because everything's in piles and shoved into trailers that have had shelving collapse and all that good stuff. So D&D Waste Removal did the best that he could. He is quoting about $5,200 to remove the trash with the dumpsters and his labor. If you scroll down to the bottom of the estimate, he did his approximate guess for what's down there to be removed for TVs, Freon items, tires, mattresses. For mattresses, he's only going to charge us per mattress. He's not going to charge us for the box spring. Any box springs that are there. There is a giant tractor trailer tire that he's estimating $150 to remove that one tire. But he thinks it could possibly be more as well. So that's kind of his estimate. So when you add up his job proposal, the total amount for labor and to remove the rubbish that's there is $5,200 plus an estimated $3,450 in pay per item. Items that we have down there, such as mattresses, TVs, Freon items, tires, and light bulbs. And then the Junk Kings came out yesterday, and they quoted us about the same for labor, but their pay per items took our estimate to about $13,000. So we don't know how we want to attack this.
Well, if you look at the DND, they're giving you a base price and then they're adding on top of it.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
So,
The same with the Junk King. They're giving us an estimated where they say refrigerators times 23, mattress and box springs times $40, because they charge 40 per mattress and per box spring, and then tire estimate, because there's no way we can figure out how much is there.
But it appeared to me, I could be wrong, but it appeared to me that the total for Junk King was $12,991.
Yes, ma'am.
And that included what was listed below.
Right.
Plus, they said they would recycle 60% of it, that they had the capability of doing that. D&D was somewhere in the between 5,000 and 6,000 as base price, but then we would be adding on top of that, so potentially
right,
both even ups. That's
so
that's the way I looked at it. That's the way I saw it.
You're correct. So what I did is I took his like pay per item. So he estimated 60 TVs at $25 each, and I just totaled all of the estimate at the high end up. So all of his pay per items were about $3,450 on top of his $5,200. So that brings his estimate to about $8,650.
So if we spend all of this money and get the place cleaned up, does that shut down the recycle center? And do we have a plan B when people ask what you're supposed to do with the?
We don't.
So that's what we need to discuss.
Square one. We also don't have $9,000 in Bella's account.
I have a question.
Right, I'm sorry.
So after we get all this stuff taken away, are those buildings and trailers reusable, or are they junk also in themselves?
Some of them are junk.
Yeah.
So are we going to be able to replace those?
I don't know if we necessarily need to replace them all. If we operate within, if we operate in the mindset that we get it in and we actually recycle it instead of just keeping a hold of it, I think that we wouldn't need as many structures as there are down there right now.
Well, what caused this to turn out like this? Why wasn't it just constantly turned over?
Lack of markets or markets that weren't consistently available.
Yeah. We have a trailer that's just, you can't even really all the way walk past it, just stuffed with electronics that are, unfortunately, a lot of them are smashed, and they were on shelves at one point, but the shelves came off the wall, so everything is everywhere.
Right. And then ultimately, what I think we need to do is look at these estimates and look at what we're charging for removal of items.
Yeah.
Reevaluate what we allow, and allow what we want to charge for it appropriately, so we can afford to remove it in the temporary, and then the long-term plan should be to regionalize and ultimately shut it down.
I think the first step, of course, would be to try to get the place cleaned up, and that's the first decision. The second decision is, do we want to continue with the recycle center? I think we need to put together a plan first, and first steps, for second steps and third steps. If we want to continue the recycling center, then how are we going to do it? So I think there's a lot more discussion that needs to be had.
And we also, with these estimates, we need to take a look at what can these people do versus what can we do on our own. If any of these jobs total up to over $10,000, then we have to go out to the procurement process and put the job out for bid. So I don't know how, I mean, I can tell both these guys know things right now. We're figuring out how we're going to handle it. I know there's different facilities that will kind of break it down and do little by little. What can the Board of Health do? I know in like the free shed, there was a lot of items that the normal person isn't just going to want to pick up and huck out into a dumpster. It's packed. There's rodents, there's rabbits, there's squirrels, there's potentially raccoons. The pile of mattresses are soaking wet and full of mold. So
I visited the recycling center yesterday, and it occurred to me that with the volume of metal we have there, there should be some value to somebody that would pay us for
yeah,
that metal.
Templeton Salvage comes and picks it up.
Okay,
They'll be there. But the items that are, when you went to the items that are down on the ground, a lot of those contain Freon, which we can't just throw into a scrap metal because
okay.
there's a charge to get rid of the Freon.
And so that will defer some of the expense of cleaning it up is where I'm going with that.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I mean, a lot of what Kate and I took in on the Saturday we worked was metal. We filled that dumpster. We also went through the sheds and pulled out what metal could be put in there as well.
There was a ton of stuff down there.
Mhm.
So the second part of it is these two estimates are okay. I think that I might make the recommendation of establishing a subcommittee of two of us anyway, to come up with the proposal to get rid of what we have there and clean up, and then maybe another subcommittee composed of two others or the same to come up with an alternative plan B, what we're going to do with it after we get it cleaned up, whether or not we're going to continue a recycling center or whether or not we're going to regionalize, or perhaps, and I'll throw it again in Matt's question, because I know the Wachusett watershed has that regional recycling center in Holden, or right there in the Holden, West Boylston line. Is that a possibility for the Ware River watershed coming up with a regional recycling center?
You're asking me?
I'm asking you, Roger.
Well, anything is possible. I don't know anything about the recycling center. Is it like sponsored by the DCR in the Wachusett?
DCR Wachusett Regional Recycling Center. It's right on Laurel Street in West Boylston,
Oh,
right over the Holden line at the Laurel Street. Big area. And
Yeah.
DCR
Well, wait.
I thought you may know something about it. That's all. I don't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah. Well, no big deal. But the Ware River watershed is pretty much controlled by the Quabbin watershed office, and anything that's going to get spent is going to come from there. It certainly couldn't hurt to talk to what's his name, Dan. I can't remember his name. The new superintendent over there, the new regional director. But I don't know. It's, if they do it at Wachusett, there's precedent set. So I mean, it's something we could talk about.
Okay. Well, I like I say, thank you for that information. We can follow it up after that. So what do you think about subcommittees? Do we want to do it that way? Do we want to? I know Mallory's got a lot more on her plate than sitting around playing with recycling.
Yeah, I would say a single subcommittee just to come up with a plan for the cleanup and then a step-by-step decision guide for what needs to happen next.
That's fine. And I don't mind volunteering to help out with that. I think there are some ideas that could happen that, we could get it cleaned up. I think those prices are pretty extraordinary, but we'll see.
I can help you with that, Vinny.
Right, great.
You know, if you want to do a little subcommittee here.
Well, that'll be fine. All right, so why don't we do that with myself and Colleen? We'll come back in a couple of weeks and maybe we'll have a couple of ideas anyway and go from there. We'll pursue maybe more requests for estimates. And my idea would also be talking to the 2 licensed haulers in town that also have recycling facilities with their companies, and maybe they could give us some ideas on that, but that'll be fine. Anybody have any objection to that?
Was good.
Okay,
That sounds good.
So
I'd
then
love-
what are we gonna do for the next, are we gonna allow it to be open and just obtain more junk? Are we gonna allow it to be open just for scrap metal? How do we want to?
well, at this point, we don't have any employee to open it, and I don't think it's prudent to continue to pile things up and pile up expenses along with it, because whatever we take in, we're running into a predicament of what do we do with it? So that would be my opinion. We just put it in limbo until we figure out what the hell that we're gonna do about the whole thing. But I'm not in favor of reopening, especially with only volunteers that, you know, may not get, let's face it. If we don't have that person to run it, I think somebody needs to have a responsibility.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, I think keeping it open at the moment is probably not the best idea, although I think we also need to face the fact that people are still going to dump things there because it is not monitored and we continue to get mattresses and other things left there.
Our pile has grown since the weekend Kate and I worked by
Yeah.
probably at least 7 mattresses.
I drove in yesterday, then it doesn't really matter, but I'll be honest with you, I'd rather have them throw the mattresses there than on the side of the road, so
Mhm.
Yeah, they end up there anyway when DPW picks them up.
that's fine.
So, and I have
Well-
another question. Do we usually supply a dumpster for DPW?
I don't believe so.
No, we don't. This
Okay.
has been a bone of contention for many years, Mallory.
Okay. Because Travis asked me and I was like, I get your own
No.
dumpster. I don't know.
No, he's
Okay.
supposed to have his own dumpster
Okay.
and come out of his own budget.
Okay. That's what I figured. I mean, because he said that the Parks and Rec project was going to be happening soon. They need a dumpster. And so my response was, it sounds like something that Parks and Rec should probably get on top of then.
Yeah, we're not a trash transfer station, we're a recycling center, and we're closing it as of this evening. I think we need to make that known. If you could post that, Mallory, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Oh,
And-
I'll get it out there.
And Parks and Rec and everybody else are, you know, they're on their own with what they have to do. The recycling center is not gonna take any refuse from any other committee or the rest of the town. We're stuck with it now. And, you know, these figures are big time figures, and Mallory's right. We're right on the border of going to procurement. You know, once you hit that 10 grand mark, everybody starts jumping and yelling, so I don't wanna see that happen either. Alrighty. Any other unexpected subjects we might wanna discuss?
Yeah, we have one public comment. So I think Karen Jackson that wishes to speak.
Say that again, please.
We
We
have a member of the public that wishes to speak.
Oh, great. And that might be Karen Jackson?
Yep. Karen,
evening,
are you unmuted? Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Karen? If you hit your unmute button, we may be able to hear you. You're muted, Karen, at the moment. Can you reach her, Mallory, and give her that information?
Here, hold on 1 second. Is a unmute.
So Colleen, you are muted. Matt, you are muted. Judy is muted. Tim is muted and Karen is muted. And Mallory just sent the note that in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, there is a button.
So,
Microphone says mute.
so I guess she can unmute. So it says, she commented that as a resident of Hubbardston, she has an issue with the qualifications and lack of credentials for Tim Newton, which I'm confused about so I'm just waiting for her to respond back
Okay.
so we can address that because
Did she send us anything in writing or was she just here to comment?
this was just in the chat, Ben.
Okay.
I don't have any emails or anything else in writing.
Well, Karen, we'd love to hear your comments, but unfortunately, things aren't coming through this evening. So perhaps you could send an email
Yeah.
to Mallory and we could make some better arrangements to have you come back and visit us again.
I can, if you want to shoot over an email to inspect@hubbardstonma.us. It's on the website as well. And I can forward that to the board. I don't know what's going on, but she's not responding in chat and she was before. So I don't know if there's a glitch or what's going on.
And it's
Okay, well,
inspect@hubbardston.ma.us.
No, it's just inspect@hubbardstonma.us.
Thank you.
No dots in between Hubbardston and MA.
all right, so we'll catch up with her later.
Okay.
Anything else that may not be on the agenda we'd like to discuss?
We haven't got anything yet for the town fair, but I've seen it out on social media. So we can all just kind of, if you want to start reading up on the outdoor guidelines and then start thinking about if there's any type of special accommodations you're going to be asking from Hubbardston Celebration, because I'm sure they'll be coming to us at some point. I also just want to note that Laura Foley and her Earth Day cleanup was postponed due to the weather. So she is going to be hosting her Earth Day cleanup this weekend, this Saturday, if anyone's interested in attending.
In the past, it's been very beneficial to the town, but have they used the recycling center for depositing anything in the past? Does anybody know?
I think they get their own
Yeah.
dumpsters.
Oh, great. Okay, good.
So
Alrighty then. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. There's no other business.
hold on one second.
Oh, there is.
Karen said my sister is affiliated with Fairground in Greenfield. I don't know what that means.
That was a little bit random. Who are you speaking of, Mallory?
The person who was wishing to speak said affiliated with Fairground in Greenfield.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. But
Tim, are you still on and can you, are you able to hear us? Can you unmute or were you able to hear you?
He's muted also, Kate.
Mallory, under settings for participants, are people able to unmute themselves? Could that be an issue?
Well, I'm not sure I want to entertain a discussion from Tim if he's if he's the subject of a notice that we should.
I was going to simply ask him to
Yeah,
re-forward us a copy of his qualifications, certifications, etc.
oh, that'd be a good idea. Thank you. If that's what's going to happen, please do that, Tim, if you can hear us. All righty.
Yeah, and Matt's not able to unmute either. So Mallory, I think that the issue is a universal issue of participant.
I'm having trouble with mine. Mine keeps glitching in now. I'm sorry, I can't hear. My screen keeps going black too.
Yeah, there's usually a setting for allowing people to unmute themselves, and I bet you it is set incorrectly.
No, they should be able to unmute themselves because all of the other board members can. Judy's been doing it because everyone's been as panelists.
Don't know.
I don't understand.
All righty. Well, we'll work that out. And the IT department, we'll send that along. So again, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn since there's no other
I
business.
have a quick question. Are we going to go to the Zoom hybrid meeting forum ourselves?
So we're
I-
working with trying to get it to work. So the two boards that did it, there was a real hard time with volume and people being able to respond.
Okay. So we're holding off because of that. Got
Yeah.
it.
Kind of like this evening.
Guys,
Mallory? Yeah,
just
go.
1 second. Karen's been chatting in the chat.
Yeah.
if
Yes.
you want. So I think that's probably something that she needs to come back to us with something specific in a written form.
I agree.
I don't think that this is something that we should be bringing out in public and making. I think she needs to make a formal, submit a formal letter on the subject.
That would be a very good idea.
Yes, I agree also.
Well, Mallory, if you'll get in touch with Karen and ask her to do that, we'll consider this again at the next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything she does send to us, however, will be a public document, so.
That depends.
Well, if she makes it public, it's what it is.
It-
All right, we'll try this again. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I second the motion.
Let's make it first.
Oh, I motion to adjourn.
I'd second it.
Okay.
Judy?
I'm fine with that.
Yep,
Kathy?
agreed.
Yes.
And Colleen?
Yes.
Well, I'll make it unanimous. Thank you all this evening for coming by, and Tim, Karen, and Matt.